So one of my favorite parts about making YouTube videos isn't actually making the video itself, it's setting everything up in the studio, trying out different pieces of gear, trying to move things around and see what works better, trying to make things a little more clean setup wise. So that's what I've been doing. If you haven't checked out my most recent video, check that out after you watch this, because I'm actually kind of redoing some of the things in my office here and trying to make it a little more user-friendly, so I can use this both as a YouTube studio and then also my 9 to 5 office area and kind of a hangout space. And one of the things I've been running into as a problem is my lighting. Now the lighting setup is fine. I have no problems with the lights I'm using. I'm using the GVM SD200D lights. I have 2 of those. I have one as my main key light over here with a lantern on it, and then another one over here with the softbox with the grid. And those have been working great. I have them on C-stands. Now, as much as I love C-stands, they are very heavy duty, they're versatile, and they're just not going anywhere. And if you feel like they're gonna tip, throw a sandbag on there and they're not going anywhere. So they're nice and sturdy, they hold the weight of the lights just fine. However, they do take up a lot of room. So if you're in a YouTube studio that you're running out of your home, you're probably working with limited space, kind of like I am, and floor space is valuable real estate. And having 2 C-stands especially takes up a lot of floor space, because as great as they are, the feet that are on here, I'm always tripping over. They take up a lot of room. You have to kind of maneuver around them and everything. And the ones I have are actually not on wheels. I know there's some lower profile ones that you can get on wheels, but still they stick out and do take up some real estate. So every time I'm trying to come back to this desk, I'm always tripping over the feet of this one stand on the side here. And I know it's there, it's been there for a year, but I'm always tripping on that thing, trying to vacuum around here. It's just a pain. So my goal is to try and find a better placement or better option instead of a C-stand. Now I am kind of limited. Obviously I am in a small bedroom, and I was gonna go try out like the Versi poles that go across the ceiling, try it that way, but it's too wide that I can't do it that way. And then the very pole going up and down. Again, I don't want anything in the floor. I don't want to run into anything, so I didn't want to go that route. The other 2 options were doing a ceiling mount for the light, which would be a good option as well. But the problem is I have popcorn ceiling, and putting holes in that and then having to patch those later, it's kind of a pain. And then you're kind of limited on where you can move that light. Like it stays there and you can tilt it a little bit, but you're limited to the tilt of what's ever built on the light. But if you want to swing it around and move it other places for like B-roll, you really can't do that with a ceiling mount. You're kind of stuck with it there. The other option that I found doing some research online is a wall mount boom arm. And I actually decided to go with that. And so I'm going to try it out in this video and see if it works. So I did end up buying this one right here. There are a ton of different options between, looking on Amazon and even B&H Photo. I went ahead and chose the option on B&H Photo just because they're a reliable source. This particular brand is Impact, so they do make the very poles I was talking about earlier. Great company, they make good stuff. So I wanted to go with somebody with a good reputation. I was looking at some of the ones on Amazon with like Newer, and Ulanzi even makes some, and those are fine. The C-stands I'm using are Newer, but what you have to read carefully in some of the descriptions is how these are set up. So these things actually obviously mount to your wall, but then they're gonna pan and tilt, and depending on which brand you get, the amount of pan and tilt kind of varied a little bit, and then also the length of this. Some of them were longer, some of them were shorter, but then I was also noticing some of the ones that were on Amazon don't hold that much weight, and I think these cob lights weigh roughly 6 pounds without the softbox. So this one right here supposedly holds fully extended about 11 pounds. So that should be plenty to hold my whole light setup. So that's why I went with the Impact version over a lot of those on like Amazon, just for that reason. But I'm hoping with this that I can mount it to the wall and then alleviate this C-stand and get it out of the way, and then I could freely walk back to my desk back and forth and not have to worry about running into a pole. And then now I will have a clear line of vision to my TV that I set up as well. Now this should be pretty straightforward to install, but you do need some tools. I will be using a drill to pre-drill the holes. I will then be using an impact drill to secure the wood screws. Then I'm going to be using a level, and you definitely want to have some sort of stud finder and then wood screws. All right, so if you are mounting this to drywall like I am here, you want to use the screws here in the middle. There's 4 sections. The ones that are here on the outside are the ones I thought we would be using, but according to the instructions, that is for the anchors that goes with the concrete or masonry wall. So we'll be focusing right here, which should make it a little bit easier as well to get fully in the center of the stud. So that's what they'll be going. And like I said, I'm using these number 10 2-inch flathead wood screws. So just got these at Home Depot. There's a whole bunch of different kinds that you can use. Those are the ones that I found. So my first thing is actually trying to find out where I want this. So I want it on this wall for sure, because if I have it here, it has enough area to go to where that light is. So I want this arm to kind of go exactly right here. If I mount it over here, there's not enough room. So if I mount it here, and then I want it obviously high enough to be out of the way, but just to kind of do a test fit here, should come out far enough. Somewhere here. Oh yeah, that's plenty. Like I probably won't even need to go that far out. All right, so stud finder did pretty good. Just kidding. I really hope that's right, because I hate drilling holes in walls. Oh man. Moment of truth, I guess. Good news is, there is a stud there. Cool. It's gonna start with 1, and then we'll go from there. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is, before I hit one down here in the bottom, I'm gonna make sure this is level. So this is it, fully up there. Hit all the studs there. For some reason, didn't hit a stud there, but that's okay. All the other screws should be fine. So move pretty good. I think you could loosen up those screws there to make it move a little bit easier, but I don't think I want that, especially once I get it set. Pretty much we'll just keep this in one spot and not move it too often unless we do some B-roll or some different angles, but yeah, definitely need to tighten that down. That's kind of what it looks like now. We'll go ahead and get it set up with the light. All right, so this looks pretty close to how I had it set up with the C-stand, kind of in the same position, but see, it definitely sits up there nice. It doesn't look like anything's coming off, still nice and flush. Over here. So obviously I just got to work on some cable management once I get it in a perfect position, but I'm not too worried about a couple wires hanging, not a big deal. And then probably this, I'll find a way to clean up a little bit, but that way I don't have a cord going under here. Just go to that outlet right there and looks pretty good. Now, since this is just kind of hanging on that one screw there, all of that weight, they do have this safety cable that I'm going to probably install as well, just so that way if something happens, the whole light doesn't fall all the way down onto whatever's down here. It'll just kind of fall and hang from this safety cable. It's only like $2 or $3, so it just kind of loops around there, so that way if it falls, it'll catch this handle and just kind of hang down that way. But a little more peace of mind, I guess. So that was a relatively simple process to install that wall mount. I was able to do it by myself, didn't need any extra hands. And just make sure you do have that stud finder, because you do want to make sure you hit the studs, because that's really what's going to hold all the weight. If you don't hit the studs, and I would definitely recommend using some sort of drywall anchor, so that way it doesn't like break or anything like that. So, but lined up pretty well, got most of the screws in the studs. I think there was only like one I didn't hit, but all the other ones hit. I think I have about 7 or 8 total screws up there, so that should be plenty to hold that. Like I said, there are plenty of different options out there as far as brands, but just pay attention to the quality and how long they telescope. This one from B&H Photo is like, it goes from like 27.5 inches to 49 inches fully extended, which I don't even need anywhere near that amount, but I like to have that extra just in case I want to have it come over here for some B-roll or something like that. You do. Some of them were longer. You can get the large ones that go even further out, and some of them went to like 30 some inches as well, or even like 52. And just kind of pay attention to those, and then how much it'll pan or tilt. So definitely check it out on B&H Photo. I'll post a link down in the description below for this one. Right now it's about $59. So you may find it around that price. I think it was a little bit less when I found it on sale, but 59 bucks seems to be a good price for that. Again, there's more expensive ones, more cheaper ones, just kind of depends on your budget, but I don't think you can go wrong either way, especially if you're in a small space. This definitely helps with that. But if you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so you can be notified when I come out with more videos. And while we're waiting on that, go ahead and check out this video here where I go over the current setup that I had and where my pain points were and what I'm trying to do to kind of fix those to go along with this video.